If everyone could please take their seats, welcome to the press conference on Matthias et Maxime, which is in competition here at the festival. I'm very pleased to introduce several members of the cast. I'll start with the left, in fact, with the producer, Nancy Grant. Matthias et Maxime is the fifth time she's worked with Xavier Dolan. She has two films in selection this year. She produced the opening film, The Wife of My Daughter, at Un Certain Regard. At the other end of the table, we have Catherine Brunet, who is an actress. She portrays the character of Lisa. This is the second time she's worked with Xavier Dolan, because she also appeared in Mummy. Adib Alkhalidey, who plays the part of Sharif. Antoine Pilon, who is Brass in the film. Samuel Gauthier, who plays the character of Frank. Yvette Pier-Luc Funk.
Bonjour.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. Gabriel D'ALMEIDA-FREITAS plays the part of Matthias. He's also a director and scriptwriter and graduated from the National School of Humor in Montreal. And 10 years after coming to Cannes with I Killed My Mother, he's back with his 8th feature film, his 6th to be in Cannes, and his 3rd to be in competition. In 2014, Mummy got the jury prize, and in 2016, It's Only the End of the World got the grand prize. The producer, director, and editor of the film, who also plays the part of Maxime, Xavier Dolan.
Bonjour.
Good morning.
Xavier, dans la présentation du film,
Xavier, in your introduction to the film, you talk about the protagonist and say that at his age you were alone most of the time. This is a film about friendship. Is it a fantasy? Is it a dream? No, it's not a fantasy. In fact, the people you see here, on the contrary, the people you see here are my best friends.
Dans les dernières années, dans la deuxième moitié de ma vingtaine, en fait.
My later 20s, I made films and I made a lot of friends as well. And for the first time,
J'ai eu des amis dans ma vie.
Of course, I have had friends throughout my life, but I really discovered the feeling of friendship within a group of pals, where there's great solidarity. And through this film, Inter alia, I wanted to pay tribute to the strength of this friendship. There are a lot of questions in the room. We'll begin on the left-hand side. Good morning, Catherine Beauchamp.
Coucou.
Hello.
Xavier,
you said yesterday after the film that I Killed My Mother was presented here in Cannes 10 years ago. I'd like you to talk about your development as a director over the past few years and your experiences over time in Cannes.
Tu as mentionné que tu avais envie de partager avec tes acteurs le Festival de Cannes.
Did you really want to share with the actors the experience of Cannes? And if so, what were the reasons? Those are several questions, in fact.
C'est sûr que.
Well, it goes without saying that when I think when at the time of I Killed My Mother with Anne Dorval, we came to Cannes, we were totally naive. We had the eyes of a novice when looking at the festival in Cannes. We discovered the atmosphere, the chaos, the mixture of films, stars. And now, 10 years have elapsed since that time. I've been to the festival with some of the films I shot in the meantime, of course. And obviously, I've learned a huge amount. Above all, I've met so many wonderful people. There have been so many decisive meetings, and many of them have led to artistic collaboration. And also being a member of the jury, that also was a very decisive moment in my time. In my life. It was perhaps one of my most powerful experiences here at the festival. Presenting a film
dans une très très courte période, révéler quelque chose qu'on
means that in a very short space of time, you have to talk about something that took months and sleepless nights and endless thoughts to put together. It's a gift of oneself. It entails so much energy. But when you come to see simply such a large number of top-quality films as a member of the jury, then it's less stressful, it's less tiring. The festival is very, very pleasant for members of the jury, so it was a very decisive time in my life. I haven't gotten fed up or bored of anything over the past 10 years, not in the least. Everything sort of begins again anew. Each film is different, and the experience is therefore different. I've been very fortunate to have been able to share these moments with people who I dearly love. I've been able to share with them the happiness, the real vertigo, the stress, the lack of sleep as well, which I've gotten used to over the past 10 years. And after the festival, of course, we'll all be able to get a good night's sleep. I don't know how to answer your question. The 10 years have fled by, and it's been a huge joy to share these experiences with people I love, with people I like to party with, laugh with. And now, above all, I have absolutely adored creating things with them, working with them. Did I answer your question? Thank you. A question at the front.
Hi, I'm David from Movieview China. My question is to Xavier. I want to know, you didn't conceal all your tattoos in the film. I was wondering, is that choice because you see a lot of Maxime in you, or you see you in Maxime?
No, I just didn't believe that these tats were. I concealed the tats that seemed a little bit too close to my own skin. I didn't conceal all of them because we didn't have that time, simply. And we just couldn't erase them all in post. It was too costly. And but I also didn't believe that these tattoos were too far away from Maxime. To me, they worked with his personality. Maybe I was wrong. I don't know.
Hi, Chris Knight, National Post and Post Media, Canada. Bonjour tout. A question for Mr. Dolan. We've seen many films at Cannes in English and many in French. To see a Xavier Dolan film is to experience une langue uniquement canadienne, le franglais. I wonder if you could talk about the politics of language in your film, and if there's time for Gabriel, a moment to say what it's like to be la nouvelle étoile dans la constellation Dolan. Merci.
Oh. En anglais, Gab.
Yes, sure.
In this movie, there's a lot of room made for language and generations problematics, or in the way that I wanted different generations to be interwoven. Is that a word? Interwoven? Anyway, that. And with that comes our every generation's notions of French and English. And it was important for me to stress the fact that in Quebec, our language, our French, is in constant evolution. Evolution also means borrowing from other languages. And I speak English, I speak French, but I'm acquainted with a lot of younger people who speak either Franglish or English, and for whom it's almost automatic now. And I felt that in the character of Erika, who's Rivette's younger sister.
Yes.
Thank you. And who's 16. There's already a huge chasm between her and us, who are in our late 20s. In
Yes.
48 days, like this, shooting the film. It was important to include the notion of English as an invasive culture in our linguistics in Quebec, but also to have different levels of French. Whether a lot of characters come from different classes, and some are from the working class, and some are from wealthier backgrounds and upbringings, and it was important to have all these that variety of French. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. That the variety of different levels of French be present in the film, permeate the film.
Gabriel.
Moi, je peux parler en français, puis on va traduire.
Oui, oui.
Parfait. En fait,
Perhaps
je
I could
pense
speak
que-
French myself.
Je vais aller comme ça. Je pense pas qu'il y a comme une. Je pense que ça
think-
reste un film. C'est dans le
I
sens
think
qu'on vient
after
pas
all-
la star du film de Xavier. Là, je pense qu'on fait un film aussi juste entre amis, puis on est. Il y a un côté.
In the film,
très,
we're just friends, and that's what
très
is
beau et
portrayed in the film.
C'est stressant à la base. Je pense
It's
que quand on y pense, ça
stressful.
devient un peu stressant, mais quand on arrive
When
sur
you
le
think about
le
it,
plateau, sur le tournage,
When
je
you're
pense
on the
que c'est,
set, when you're
ça reste
actually
un film, ça
shooting,
reste, on s'est
things can
amusé,
be quite stressful, but above all, we had a lot of fun. We forgot that side of things. We were just swept away by the story. It was a game after all, and we were having lots of fun. So we didn't have any real pressure. We knew that there was pressure in the background, but we did things more out of pleasure.
Je pense que ça apparaît aussi dans le film.
I think that's what ably sums up the film. What was it like before the beginning of the shoot? Did you prepare things well? Did you hold workshops together?
Je réponds pour eux, là, mais ils sont comme ça dans la vie.
I could answer for them. Perhaps they're just like that in life. But there were some rehearsals. We read the script together. We met as a group to work out some of the scenes. The friendship was already there, but the pace of the scenes was worked on. And that's how we worked. We had a lot of fun amongst friends, and you could see that in the actors.
Un peu chiant sur le plateau pour
We had lots of fun on the set. We were really excited all to be together. And we all enjoyed it thoroughly. We managed also to improvise and add some things to the dialogue. Some people say, was there any improvisation? In fact, there wasn't that much. Xavier had put everything in the script. There were even things written in parallel. Things were very intertwined. However, while we were rehearsing, we were able to add jokes and funny comments. I wanted everyone to be very natural with their lines. We were together, we wrote things together. There were some mistakes which slipped in, which we decided were absolutely great, were real finds, and made the film more interesting. For example, when you were just teasing each other. We did quite a lot of reading of the script. We didn't rehearse all that much. Sometimes we changed the dialogue to a degree. Yeah, usually the rehearsals turned into long parties amongst friends. We just had a lot of fun, apart from the moments when we had to go out and walk the dog. Thank you. We'll go on to another question. Jean-François Bélanger, Radio Canada. Thank you for this film, Xavier, and welcome back to Cannes. After 8 films, we can talk about your filmography, your work. Some people said this was a transition film. How would you situate it in the overall group of films that you made and in terms of what you intend to do in the future? And I'd like to hear from the others. Xavier wanted to share with you the experience of Cannes. Would you care to talk about your experience here and how it compares with what you've read about Cannes?
Voulez-vous commencer?
Do you want to start? As you like.
Réponds à tout.
Vous voulez commencer? OK, ben.
On commence, on va finir après.
On va-tu pas retourner là pour...
On est là pour toi, Xavier.
We're here for you, Xavier.
Au tout début, vous comprenez?
Right at the beginning, as you know.
L'histoire commence avec...
Well, the story began...
oui, c'est un film de transition.
Yes, it is a transition film.
Mais d'abord, j'ai 30 ans, puis j'arrive à la fin de ma vingtaine. J'arrive à la fin d'une décennie qui a été passée.
I'm reaching the end of a decade that I've practically spent here in Cannes.
Avec toutes sortes de
with all sorts of feelings.
Des victoires,
victories,
des déceptions, des rejets,
disappointments,
des triomphes, des rencontres.
Rejection, triumph, meetings of people.
Donc, riche.
It's been a very rich experience, emotionally, psychologically, intellectually. That changed me. With each new film, you learn from your mistakes. You try not to just repeat what you've done in the past. This film, it's not just a mixture of all my preceding films. It was an opportunity for me,
artistiquement puis formel, sur le plan formel
from a formal stance, to try something different, to try to explore another part of myself in terms of being more restrained, making certain artistic decisions. I'm not going to spend my entire life filming people who quarrel in the kitchen. But what I'm trying to say is that for me, it's important
de naviguer dans certaines zones plus en demi-ton ou explorer par exemple
to explore different areas in half-tones, reading between the lines. We thought we might make a more pastel film, less heavy, less dark, less stark. Dark green, dark blue, dark brown, those were colors in my previous films. Here the film is more neutral from a visual stance. It's a bit more gentle, it's softer. And after 10 years, I wanted to make a film about friendship, basically. What I wanted to do was to try new things. And in this respect, the film is a sort of a transition for me, because it enables me to start out in my 30s, opening a very important new chapter in my life, being in Cannes and in terms of cinematography as well. I act in my own film, and as I embark on my 30s, I'll be doing more of what I like, acting. I think perhaps the pace I'll try to adopt will be a bit more healthy. It won't be so frantic. There you go. As to our experience here in Cannes, we heard a lot about it during the film. We didn't want to think about it too much because we knew it was possible, but we didn't want to overly focus on it until it became official. Being here is quite exceptional. We've seen incredible things. The red carpet that filled us with emotion, huge emotion. We're so fortunate to experience this all together as friends. When you have all this emotion, it's exhilarating to be with all these photographers, all these people. It's almost overwhelming, and that's why we then tend to stick together as friends. There are so many things in this experience, but what perhaps prevails is friendship. It's magic what we're experiencing here. It's great to be here.
Mais d'être là pour Xavier aussi, parce que
We're here for Xavier too. We've been working with him for a long time. We admire him so very greatly. It's just wonderful to be with him.
Il y avait quelque chose de le fun que tu nous as dit aussi au début du festival.
At the beginning of the festival, in fact, before we arrived here,
tu nous as dit que tu allais un peu comme revivre ta première fois à travers nous. Quelque chose d'excitant là-dedans.
There was something quite existential about things. There was something really fun for us. It was the first time for us to be in Cannes, but you've been here time and again. Yet through us, you experienced this initial emotion of the very first time once again. So that was pretty important, I think.
Super intéressant que Xavier, en fait, il nous expliquait comment ça allait se passer.
Xavier explained to us how things worked.
Il voulait vraiment qu'on vive le truc.
He really wanted us to live the experience to the hilt. He didn't give us too many details. He wanted us to discover it. He wanted it to be a voyage of discovery. I was a
un parc d'attractions, comme on dit ici.
Kid who hadn't experienced all that many things, but when I got here, I felt I was a kid again. I didn't really understand everything that was happening. And then we walked the red carpet, and I thought, wow, this is just amazing. Now I'm only going to travel in a group. That's something that's going to change in my life.
Adib, Samuel, vos impressions?
What about your impressions, Samuel? I think everyone here just loves art and the cinema. It is the saving grace of our life. It's been something we've loved ever since we were kids and adolescents. And thanks to Xavier and his work, we're here. And thanks to this friendship, we can hold up this tradition. I don't get the impression it's me who's here. Ever since I arrived, I'm just drinking everything in. I'm trying to memorize every single moment. It's like being in a dream. Ever since we arrived, people seem to be so smiling and nice. Okay, people say to you, you have to be grateful, but when you're here, you're automatically grateful. It's this incredible gratefulness and recognition. It's something that really warms your soul. It's wonderful to work with Xavier. A film like this is a fabulous experience. He's such a comprehensive, precise director. And this is something we can really appreciate, because you can let yourself go when you're doing the shooting. You have full trust in him. We all adore the cinema. There's something particularly exciting being here. It's the greatest celebration of the cinema in the world, Cannes. It's totally magical. It's totally unreal. That's exactly right.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good morning.
Yes, we can hear you.
This film reminds me so much of Lawrence Anyways, which I think is a masterpiece. Was it your intention to create it's a masterpiece? Come on, everybody. Lawrence Anyways. Come on.
Yes.
It's an amazing film. It's the most amazing film
Let's
I
hear it
think
for
we've ever
Lawrence
done.
anyways.
Anyway,
Thank you.
my question was it your intention for this film to be a gay version of Lawrence Anyways? Maybe just a bit? Or no?
No. Period. No, this film is not an answer to or in communion with any of my films before. The idea is to always break new ground and explore new notions, discover new themes. A lot of people tell me, oh, we recognize your themes, mothers and homosexuality. And I'm like, mothers, we all have one. Or had one, but that's where we come from. That's the origin of life, and they're not mothers; they're women, and they're individuals, and they have their own strength and problems and behaviors, and they're extraordinary figures to explore in film. And homosexuality for me is, when you're asking if this is a gay version of, for me this film is not gay. This film is life. we never talk about heterosexual films. Oh, I saw this great heterosexual love story. It's between a man and a woman. It's a little weird, but then you know, after 15 minutes you get used to it. It's for me, this is not a story of homosexuality or gay love. I mean, it is ultimately, but I don't even think that the two protagonists of the film are aware that it's gay love. It's love, and love, you know, comes knocking on your door after 25 years of friendship, knowing each other and being like brothers, and then suddenly you're like, is this kiss, which is at the beginning of the film, is this kiss gonna shake everything up and trouble us in a way that it's going to redefine our dynamic and our relationship? For me, this is first and foremost a film about friendship. In the end, when my character leaves, we are left with the certainty of only one thing, because the end is open and you don't really know, are they gonna try this thing? Are they gonna have the audacity of maybe trying to be in a relationship or explore more of what they've started? You don't really know that. You don't, for a fact, know that he's going to stay in his relationship with his girlfriend or not. You have no information about that. But the one thing that you know in the very last shot of the film is that they're still friends. And is friendship more reliable and strong than love? Is friendship love? That's the question of the film for me, rather than being a gay version of something I've done before, or yeah.
Brilliant, thank you. Sur le côté gauche, à droite.
Hi.
Hi, Xavier. Brian Johnson, Maclean's Magazine, Canada.
Yes. I know.
J'étais à la première hier.
I was at the screening last night. It was quite incredible. There was a standing ovation which lasted for a long time.
Vous pleurez.
You were crying.
I know, I always cry.
Well, I was going to ask you.
Gotta stop.
I haven't been at all of your premieres, but you seem particularly moved, and you've been here in Cannes with huge stars in your films, and this is a return to home. Seems like a smaller canvas and much closer to home in terms of who you're working with.
Yes.
What do you want?
What do you mean?
The question.
Yeah.
The question is, does this film have a particular personal significance, and what was running through your mind or your heart as you were crying in the Palais yesterday?
I'm crying because I'm surrounded by the people. No. Give me a moment. I'm crying because I'm surrounded by the people that I love most, and we've talked about this film together. I had the idea for this film when we were in a cabin in the mall. It was not a cabin. It was
whatever.
a cottage or whatever in Quebec's countryside, and right before Labor Day, maybe 2 years ago.
Yep.
And then I went off to Atlanta to shoot Boy Erased, and I had a lot of time in my room, in my hotel room, to write, and I wrote the first 40 pages of the film, but we've discussed this film at every step.
Yeah, I had the idea first.
No,
true.
That's not true.
It's not.
Yeah, it
Well,
let me talk. So, and we've rehearsed a lot. There's been this feeling of togetherness since the first line of the script, the first moment, and now we shot it, and they came in the editing suite and they saw versions of cuts of the movie. I'm crying because making a film is, for me, entirely about emotions. I mean, there's rationality in emotions as well. You can be intelligent and emotional, I think, at once and make choices, but it's mostly about how much emotion you put in something. Is it a lot? Is it a little less? There's always emotion. If there's no emotion, then for me, there's no point. And so I respond to the film and I receive people's reaction and their love yesterday in that room in the same way that I receive any artistic information when I create with my friends or when I live my life emotionally. So, yeah. For me, it's a coherent way of living and responding to a declaration from people. Was there another side to your question? That's the first part of the answer. No, I did want to ask you. Is it incomplete? I don't know. I'm sorry. What? What? Mushrooms?
Les invasions barbares.
I'll repeat that.
That must be.
No.
We did it for the purpose of the film.
Yeah, that must be quite
As
a
research.
For work. We should do that, actually.
We've heavily researched this matter, and no, I've not watched Barbarian Invasions on mushrooms. I've watched it sober.
15 years ago.
No, I saw it again last year. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Anyway.
Question in the middle, oui, s'il vous plaît.
Hello, Xavier. I have two questions, in fact. In terms of the relationship between the two main characters, they sort of fight. We have the impression that they're fighting against this desire. I don't know whether you've seen one of Claude Miller's films. It's a bit similar to that. Then I have another question. Could you please, first of all, tell us more about the first question, and second, what about your relationship with your mother in the film? This is something that crops up in each of your films, and apparently your mother said, "Oh, you don't really love me." Could you perhaps answer me on those 2 points?
Non, ma mère m'a pas dit ça.
No, my mother never said that to me.
Aussi, c'est pas parce que
It's not
qu'il y a une figure maternelle dans mes films que c'est
because
ma
there's a
mère.
mother figure in all my films that it's my mother. And Dorval has nothing to do with my mother, either in Mummy or anything else. As I was saying earlier on, for me, the mother is a figure, is not a theme. We talk about the family, we talk about...
Pour moi... Quoi?
Sorry, I don't think...
We'll answer your question right after. Don't worry, we'll answer your question right after.
Would you hand the microphone back to the hostess, please? You haven't been asked to speak. S'il vous plaît, reprenez le micro. Merci. Pardon, Xavier.
Donc, c'était pour la portion maternelle.
So that's what I wanted to say about your question about my mother. What exactly was your question in terms of fighting desire, not giving way to one's emotions?
Madame, vous avez le micro.
Le micro est derrière vous.
In fact, what one senses is that the main character is fighting this desire, these emotions he feels. It's quite cruel. It's a bit devastating, the feeling, despite their being very close friends. I love characters who are cruel because they're not happy living their life because it doesn't seem to reflect their innermost feelings. I like characters who have very strong reactions in terms of their environment, their circle of friends, because they may feel a bit shameful about themselves. So yes, he is struggling, he is fighting, but the film talks about a group of young men who have been certain of their identity since the beginning of their adolescence. They've been allocated this or that personality. This is your sexuality, this is what you're like, and then all of a sudden, just a kiss calls everything into question, calls all these certainties into question, throws doubt on so many things. This film was born of a conversation I had with Catherine. I said, well, when we were at high school, A man who kissed a man was homosexual, and a man who kissed a woman was heterosexual. It was very simple. It was cut and dried. But nature constantly evolves. And my generation is almost very different from the younger generation, like Erica, the filmmaker in the film. For someone in my generation, the ideas she expresses are very new. The younger generation has maybe a more open mind. Look at how they view sexuality, gender, their own identity. This is a new way of approaching life for us. People are very liberal at this table, but these are all notions which are extremely modern. I think that these young men of 29 or 30 in the film have to ask hard questions about their sexual orientation. It's tough, because the idea is to call into question the order of things, what seemed self-evident, and that's very complicated for everybody. You're told this is the truth, this is the way things are, and then suddenly you realize that you have been told almost toxic things about being a man, masculinity, what it is to be a man, what it is to be a woman, what is it to be a woman, what is it like, what does it mean to be heterosexual or homosexual? It's like the scene where he's being told he's going to get promoted. It seems sort of conventional, yet there's something wrong. There's something that jars. And I think that Matthias is very scared about the idea of changing. Is that possible? Is it possible to love in this way without asking deep questions about one's sexuality? We're actually very free when it comes to sexual orientation.
Xavier Dolan.
Xavier Dolan. And everyone up at the table, thank you very much for coming to this presentation.